Hello, so this is the first quick video on how to train anti-movements effectively. And I'm going to go with a classic that most people use, which is the plank. And then we're going to go and have a little look at some slightly more complex version of a plank that's building in some rotational, anti-rotational stuff as well. Now, the main issue that a lot of people have with the plank is that they go for time and they hang out basically on their ligaments and on their joints, and they don't actually engage their muscles whilst they're doing it, okay? So if we're thinking this is an anti-extension movement, essentially stopping my back from falling in as I am down in that plank position. So I'm going to head down onto the floor and show you what I mean to set up, but we want to make sure that our muscles are becoming engaged with this process to prevent that collapse going on. We're not just kind of hanging out in a poor quality position with this. So when you're in a plank position, the main thing that I want you to be focusing on is squeezing every single muscle that you own. That includes your hands and your biceps and your eyelids and your bum muscles and everything. So you set up in the same position as you're probably familiar with elbows under shoulders, toes on the floor, and you're just going to lift the hips up. So you want to be kind of horizontal from shoulders through the bum and then a little slope down to the legs. But you can effectively hang out in position for most people for forever, minutes at a time. But what I want you to do is to think about squeezing every muscle. So squeeze the shoulder blades back and down, squeeze the pecs, squeeze the hands together. And you can see the emphasis now, how hard it's becoming for me to talk as I'm squeezing my glutes, my quads, and you'll start shaking. Well, you should do if you're doing it properly. And then think about pulling the toes towards the elbows and the elbows towards the toes. Now, you don't actually move, but if you're holding that for 20, 30 seconds, that should be more than enough. You're not just in position, hanging out for days with that collapse through the spine. Yeah, so there you're working on anti-extension, squeezing everything as hard as possible. Now, if we were to add an anti-rotational element in there as well, we could do, for example, a bird dog. Now, we'd set up a little bit differently for this one, with hands under shoulders, knees under hips. We'd still want to squeeze everything, keep that core nice and tight, and we're trying to prevent this lower back from collapsing inwards, from going into extension. But as you're taking alternate arms and legs off, what's happening is that your hips and or your shoulders are wanting to drop in, and I need to resist that rotational movement as I stretch arms and legs in and out. Yeah, so not only am I trying to stop my tummy collapsing towards the floor, but I'm also stopping my shoulders and my hips dropping in as well. So just two quick ways there. One, to improve your plank and make sure that you're working that anti-extension correctly, but then also adding in an anti-rotational component with a bird dog.